Geico commercials. You know, the crazy commercials that usually involve either a supposedly Australian gecko, maybe New Zealand, not sure, Neanderthal caveman, or there's a variety of other assorted commercials that they have. Really kind of out there and don't make a whole lot of sense. One of the latest ones they've had, though, is about with a gentleman who's complaining about the cost of electricity. And so he's hooked up his computer to be run through hydroelectricity that is generated by 3 guinea pigs sitting in a boat. And in a very deadpan voice, he says, "It took me 6 months to train the two how to row. It took 8 months to train the little chubby one how to say row." Such a simple little word, 3 letters, row. Yet it took a long time for that little chubby guinea pig to learn how to yell row, to encourage the others on. This third Sunday of Advent, we too have a simple 3-letter word, joy. And yet many times it takes a long time for us to understand and to be able to share the word joy. A young lady works in a retail store, and it's one of the retail stores who has the policy that you have to say Happy Holidays. You can't say Merry Christmas, no Happy Hanukkah, no Happy Kwanzaa, Festivus, or whatever holidays there are. Happy Holidays is the company policy. And so this young lady working the checkout register wishes everybody a happy holiday. And she shares that she could always tell who the Christians were, because she would say happy holidays and they would put their head down, shake, and maybe a clicking of the tongue. No, sweetheart, it's not happy holidays. It's Merry Christmas. Said in a patronizing voice. Or there were the others who said, it's not happy holidays, it's Merry Christmas. Paul tells us to rejoice always. But in the battle for Christmas and the battle against Christians, we forget about this week. We get defensive and we forget about joy. So many people lose battle after battle because they forget about joy. And so they respond to happy holidays in a patronizing voice or with anger and discontent. And if that person wishing happy holidays is not a Christian, chances are they're not going to be. Because we forget the joy that comes when we say Merry Christmas. John kind of goes through the same situation this morning. Saying Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas conversation that many of us have had. And his is done a little bit differently, though, as he begins his ministry, preparing the way. He is asked over and over by the Pharisees and by the Jewish leaders, are you the prophet? Are you Elijah? And I can see John just kind of smiling and shaking his head and saying, thanks, but no. I'm not Elijah. Elijah was the first prophet, and it was believed that when Elijah was to return, he would come preparing for the return of God. He would be the escort that would bring God back into the temple. John just smiles and says, no, I am not he. Rather, I am just a voice in the darkness, a voice in the wilderness, in the desert. Similar to last week's passage in Mark. But yet John is, in many ways, the New Testament Elijah. Because he was the one to guide God back into our world. To bring God back into the temple of our hearts. And so John begins that process. And he says something that's really interesting and intriguing to the Pharisees and to us as well. But there is one who stands among you that you do not know. That's what we've been talking about the last several weeks. Is we're not preparing for the birth of a baby, but we're preparing for the one who already stands with us, who lives within our hearts, who has reconciled us to God and has brought us back together. Last week I asked a question. I asked if we were ready. Are we ready to be the voice in the wilderness of Willow Grove? And I got thinking about that this week and started wondering if we were ready. Do we want to? Yes. There's no question there. But are we ready to be that voice in the wilderness? I've seesawed a little bit on that. It was great on Wednesday to go up to Springhouse and to serve communion to those members of the Reformed Church who were not able to make it to church. And to sit with them for a little while and to share, to talk, to smile, to experience their joy. Even though they can't make it here, the joy is there. Yesterday morning, 138, 140 or so people came to breakfast. It was loud downstairs. There was a lot of talking. There was a buzz going around. There was joy going on down there. And it wasn't just because Santa was there. There were a large number of people that I have never seen before. In 2 years, people I have never met, I met downstairs. People who are not a member of our church, but of the community. Last night at the Live Nativity, same thing. We had some members of the church. But roughly, I don't know what the final count last night was, there were around 60 or so, I think. 70. Official counter over here. 70 people came through, and I would say at least half of them were not members of our church. People from the community came out to hear the story. Are we ready to be the voice in the darkness?